Consistent self-improvement, everybody. You are now listening to American gypC podcast. I'm your host, Classic, and I'm here with my co-host,
gypC, and today we have a special guest, Scott Feld. He is a certified life skills coach for kids at MindZenMotion. He is also the author of Dax to the Max, the first in the series that shows kids their inner superpowers, or ISP. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Scott.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it so much. Appreciate both of you.
And Scott also has another guest with us today. If you'd like to introduce him.
I have the original Dax with me, my 6-year-old son.
Okay.
The one who is the star of the book.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about the book. What inspired you to write Dax to Max?
Well, so, to kind of I'll give you this first, is that I started MindZenMotion, which we'll get into further, but that's life skill mindset courses for teens and tweens, really 10 to 16-year-olds. Okay. And so the missing thing, and what I knew having my own son and being a certified coach, is that this is the age and younger where they can really soak this in and they can really take these inner superpowers and use them so that when they get to that 10, 11, 12-year-old, where the pressures and things that come at them are much stronger, they're already going to be well equipped. So in order to do that, it wasn't necessarily the types of courses that I teach. It needed to be in something a little bit more age appropriate. My son loves books more than anything. So I felt like it needed to be in a book format with a superhero and a bear, because bears are cool, and a cave and an adventure inside of it, but with a message, and that message being that imagination can trump fear for kids, because they have lots of fears of all sorts of different things and no real tools to get past them. Oftentimes the fear wins and they just don't get to do what they want to do. And then afterwards they lose their self-confidence. It compounds. And so to answer the question, I wanted to make sure that my own son and kids his age and a little bit younger were able to see their own inner superpowers.
Okay.
And what inspired you to get into coaching in general?
So I've so I'm in San Diego, lived here for a long time, 30+ years.
Yeah, we're in LA.
You're in LA?
Yeah.
Come visit you guys.
Yes.
So I've ran an interactive entertainment company here for the last 25+ years. I've been up to your parts and done parties up there as well with my company. And it really was geared towards that 10 to really 18-year-old age group. Even though we did younger, we did adult parties as well. That was our main focus. And so when COVID struck, my party company was just, basically done on that day. We didn't know for how long. We didn't even know what just happened. The booking we, had got canceled. The bookings that we would have gotten stopped. We had no idea. So, I, behind the scenes of all of that, for lack of a better word, have been a personal development junkie. Like, I studied it since I was a kid, whether it be Man's Search for Meaning or Krishnamurti's Think on These Things, or dissecting the Bible or whatever it might be. And then that got into a little bit more traditional, like your Bob Proctor type coaching, where it was really like power tools and your mind can create anything, The Secret and things like that. And I just combine all of that. I just bring it all in and it stirs around. Right now, I'm hugely into Neville Goddard. He's my man right now. And so anyway, a little bit more mystic, but anyway, the opportunity presented itself instead of the circumstance of something called COVID knocked me down. Because I'd studied all of this, I could see that I was aware that there was a moment in time here. And this moment in time was unusual. Wasn't going to happen again in my lifetime, his lifetime, any lifetime. It's just was new and crazy. For some people, they saw what I saw and they said, what can I do? What needs to be done? And what do I love to do? And so MindZenMotion was born out of that. Just going, hey, let me take all this, instead of throwing it away and like recreating myself and becoming like a life coach, like everybody, like anybody else might be, and following a template. Let me take this entertainment background that I have, where I created all the games, all the activities, all the challenges that we did inside of this company that I own called Extreme Fun. And let's combine that with mindset, life skill type training. And let's do it for this age group that needs it the most, right? They're sitting at home, learning on Zoom. They're, I heard one of your other guests, I think it was your last one, talking about like, how detrimental that really was, especially to the kids with the ADHD. That was the expert on ADHD that you guys had. Yeah. And, it's true. Like it was really, really tough. And a lot came out of that. So that was the opportunity. But it needed to be done in a certain way. So MindZenMotion is interactive. It's challenges, it's fun, it's activities, it's powerful tools. I call it the keys to unlock your inner superpowers. When the kids are a little bit younger, we talk about their stinking thinking and how you can have power thinking that can overrule the stinking thinking once you become aware of another way to view the same circumstance, the same thing. And it really resonates. Like they didn't know they had choice. They thought they were just at the effect and had to deal. And whatever whatever coping skills they happened to have in this moment, that was what they had. And it wasn't really anybody else's fault. Like their parents can only teach what their parents know. Now, if you're anything like me, my parents love me. They did a great job, but they certainly didn't teach me how to use my imagination against fear, or how my conscious and subconscious work together to create, either disharmony or get me where I was going. Or they definitely didn't tell me I had paths in my brain that were being dug deep, depending on what thoughts that I had, right? Called neural pathways scientifically, call it trails. So that was something I didn't have. So I dealt with what I dealt with and did what I did and struggled where I struggled and ultimately made it through, although there was questionable times, but here I am, right? And so I just want them to know that what they're not aware of is what is the thing that will take them not only through it, like we don't want them to survive, we want them to thrive, right? Excel, go towards their dreams, make things happen for themselves. Start it with their thoughts. Follow it up with tools that allow them to get past obstacles, circumstances, and conditions. So they're not knocked down. They're not just out there in the world where people are fishing, like, come over here, have some drugs, come over here, do some alcohol, come over here, do this thing, cut school over here. No. They're on a path. They're going somewhere. So they can't be fished, right? They got a force field around them almost. And we call it becoming unmesswithable. So that's the theme of my courses. And I do it in Power Parties, and I do it in Power Quest, and I do it in Power Speaking, and then I do it with Dax to the Max.
So what type of activities do you do to stimulate the kids' brains?
gypC, I'm glad you asked. I have with me my Power Box. So every kid who does a Power Party or Power Quest gets a Power Box. And I do these online and I do these live. I just finished with a group of girls in Australia. We did a 6-week Power Quest. I could send you guys the testimonials that bring tears to my eyes when they tell me what's changed for them. When the dad sent me something and he said, it only took a little tweak in my girl's thinking to make the biggest difference. I can't thank you enough. I mean, I'm still like emotional about that. And I think one of the reasons that I'm doing really well with this is because I really, really deeply care. I'm not just doing this, and hoping it works. I'm, first of all, before I did it, I researched and I studied and I interviewed. What's the problem? What's the issues? What would you like your solutions to be? What would make the difference for you so that I could create that program? And I continue to do that, right? They teach me as much as I teach them. And so, when we talk about the power of imagination, we got Play-Doh. So we tell them, pull out your Play-Doh. First of all, think about what do you want this Play-Doh to become? What do you want this to become? What would you like it to become? You could make this Play-Doh into anything. What would it be? And then it's like, all right, go ahead and start getting into action. Go ahead and start molding it. Now, look, if you've never made this thing before, it might not turn out perfect. Don't get stuck there. Don't get stuck on knowing how to do it. Just get into action. Just do it. And if you really, really, really want that thing to be really, really great, really good, you'll practice. You'll do it more and more. It'll get better and better. But you'll never have it, and it'll never get better. It'll never be anything unless you imagine it first, right? And so we have them do that. And then we tell them, well, that's what you can do with your mind. That's a superpower. You have an inner superpower. You have to imagine what you want, not be told what you want, because I'll have them give it to the person next to them. And I'll say, the person next to you is going to make something. Whatever it is, you have to take it. Because a lot of people allow other people to imagine for them and just follow along. So I make them aware of that. And then I tell them, make something that you really don't like, that you just wouldn't even want to have near you all the time. Don't worry, we're going to get rid of it, but just go ahead and make it. And I tell them, for me, it'd be like a spider or something, right? And I go, this is another way people imagine. They imagine the worst, and then they latch it on to themselves. Like they wake up with this thing going, this is bad thing's going to happen. This bad thing's going to happen. I hope this thing doesn't happen, right? And they draw it all towards them. And then we go back to, no, create the thing that you want. That's the best way to imagine. So we have these three parts to imagination. And so once they get that, and they start thinking, this is what I want, we do, in our own way with, DJ music and a fun experience, have them do that kind of dream to reality board, which is what I like to call it. Because if I just call it a dream board, a vision board or a dream board, it almost subconsciously can land and stop there. It's my dreams. Now let's make it a dream to reality board. Because we teach them, we go, look, the brain's language is pictures. I tell them, I'm like, cat. And they go, and I go, what'd you see? And, did anybody here see the letter CAT? No, that's right. Because you see a picture of whatever a cat is to you. And we all had different pictures of it. Some were white, some were fluffy, some were big, some were small, whatever. But it was a cat. Well, we would all agree it's a cat, right? So then they make the stream to reality board. They have a lot of fun to do it. But now they're on their way. They see what they want, but they're going to come across obstacles, challenges, circumstances, things like that. So they need to know, like I was saying before, you have your pilot and your autopilot, your conscious and your subconscious. Well, what happens, right? Let's just say, gypC, you're the conscious mind, okay? And let's say you have this programming inside of you, okay? And this programming inside of you, it's telling you can't do it. So you say, I want to go to Hawaii. But then there's something in there. It's going, we'll just, classic, we'll make this you, okay, just for fun, okay? Classic will be your like autopilot, okay? And classic's going, no, you can't do it. It's dangerous. That's not safe to go to Hawaii. And you're like, yeah, but I really want to go. I think it would be good. I know, but all these bad things could happen to you, and we're much better off here. Well, this is what happens to the kids, right? That's what happens to everybody is we talk ourselves out of it. We think it's almost another voice, like somebody outside of us, right? And so we never take off. But I show them, right? I go, look, that can be reprogrammed because it's you. And it can be reprogrammed with more positive self-talk to yourself. Like talk to yourself like you would talk to someone you really loved and cared about. And they said to you, I want to be in this play. And you wouldn't walk up to them and go, no, you're a terrible actor. You have no chance. Everybody's going to laugh at you. Don't do it. Right? They wouldn't be a friend for long. But that's how we talk to ourselves in that subconscious way. So let's change that. Let's reprogram that. And I get them putting little Post-its on their mirrors and bathrooms and stuff like that with things that are like, you can do it. You're awesome. Go for it. Now, just these simple things, because I'm not recreating the wheel. I'm just presenting it a little differently and age appropriately because I understand those age groups. Just those little tweaks, like the dad said, is now they at least have choice. They can see for themselves a different way to think and talk to themselves. And they can see for themselves what they have been doing to themselves. And I tell them, I go, look, I'm the clothing store. All I'm doing is giving you things to try on. But once you've tried them on, and once you've seen them, you can't forget them. You don't have to wear them, but try it. See if it fits. See if it's better for you. See if it does take you where you want to go instead of stop you and keep you from where you want to go. So I have other props. We got the glasses here. We put emoji stickers on the glasses because we can power shift ourselves from sad. We can be sad. It's okay. It's all good. You can be sad. But then go ahead and choose when you want to be okay. Go ahead and put on these glasses, right? And then when you want to shift from okay to good, put some emoji stickers on there for you, right? Remind you that you're shifting. And I tell them it's like a car. And I have to make sure that they know what a manual transmission is, because some of them are like, huh, yeah, but you shift yourself. And I say, you know, you don't shift from first over to fourth. You don't go from sad to super excited. That's sort of crazy, right? You don't go, yay. You go from I'm sad. I'm going to allow myself to be sad. And when I'm ready, I'll shift to okay. And get myself moving a little bit. I'll rev it up. And then I'll go to the third gear, right? And then I'll be going. That's where I get to happy and excited and or whatever it is on my way. And as you practice doing that, you're no longer manually shifting. You're into the automatic car, right? The one that shifts itself. Because the second it happens, I'm sad. I'm going to be sad. Now I'm going to, it's going to shift and it's going to shift and it's going to shift. And I'm not at the effect of it. I'm in control of it. So inner superpowers are all about being at the control of it. It's not like it doesn't happen. It's not like you can't be sad, mad, or whatever. It's just that you understand it and you're in charge of it. So that's kind of what we do. That there's a couple other props, but as we go through, we give them the keys. Every time they pass one, they get a key, right, to unlock their inner superpowers. So at the end of it, they have a key ring. They have key tags with each one of them saying what they've done. Thank you, that right there. And Dax has gotten all his keys, so he's got all his inner superpowers. And so that's kind of what we do. I mean, that's what makes it interactive and engaging. And the final thing I'll say is that the last key is all about action. I think they got the key part. Yeah, is about action. So one of the best things I found to show kids how to get into action is put them on a scavenger hunt. So if it's virtual, I have a virtual scavenger hunt that I send them on. I give them the instructions and all that, and what to do. And if it's live, then obviously we all go on a scavenger hunt. And I tell them, look, this is like you going towards your goal. So you're going to hit little goals, find things along the way, do things along the way. But the ultimate goal is to complete the scavenger hunt, right? And as you do it, you're going to get a little frustrated because you can't find something, or you might get tired, if it's a hot day, or you might get thirsty. Yes, there will be conditions. Will you allow those to stop you on your way to this ultimate goal? Right? And we just put it in that context form and it changes everything. So I think that gives you a pretty good idea of how we make it interactive and fun. You weren't expecting that long. Sure.
No, I like the detailed example, because some of these things I learned as an adult, and it's awesome that you put it in a kid-friendly way so that they don't have to wait until they're adults and reverse some of these patterns, negative patterns that we develop over time.
Exactly right.
Yeah, you mentioned with the Play-Doh, and it was something that came to mind about I guess the two kind of people: some that can create their own, and then some that can create and hand it on and tell them, I guess this is what it is. It depends on how they take it. Do you feel that the public school system has a part to play in some of those programmings that kind of automatically push kids into that, or even adults into those behaviors of, you have those that just say, all right, here's your Play-Doh figure, and you just take this, and they take it and take whatever? Or what is the programming to that? What do you think what is your opinion?
Well, first, let me disclaimer any teachers or school administrators out there. We love you. You're doing a fantastic job. You're doing the best you can with what you have, for sure. Schools are antiquated. They are just doing the same thing as a long time ago. Many schools have not updated to what kids currently need or are experiencing. I mean, we're in a very digital computer age, but until you get to a certain level, you're not really being taught that kind of stuff. You're not being taught accounting. You're not being taught. So that's all the on the court stuff that maybe could have been changed or can be updated. But ultimately, for the kids, the inner superpower is, this is how it is. I mean, you're going to go to school, you're going to go through this many hours, you're going to follow this curriculum and this plan. It's how it is. Here's where your power lies. How are you going to choose? Because you got to show them they have choice. How are you going to choose to experience it? So you could hear parents complaining about the schools and the kids are listening. So they're complaining about the schools. Now the school then, or the experience of the school, has the power. And that's what makes the kids upset, anxious, frustrated, overwhelmed. It's their experience of it. But because, the parents are doing it and because they're hearing it and their friends or whatever, they can actually blame the school. Now, what good does that do? You still have to go. So what are you going to do? 12 years of school blaming it? And at the end of that, how are you going to feel? Well, one, some people drop out. That could be one of the reasons why. Their experience of it just became too overwhelming. Okay.
Mhm.
And then some of them do much worse, right? I know that, later in high school, I started drinking and hanging out across the street and doing stuff because my experience of what high school was not something I felt I had power over, because I didn't know this in high school. So what I like to teach the kids is, look, there's some quote unquote have tos. We just call them have tos. Like, you don't really have to go to school, but let's just say you're up to something. So let's put that in have tos. So what can you do with it? How can you power? So I tell them, look, make different things games if games are your things. Choose that you're going to focus on the positives. Find a positive in it. So where's the positive in it? So math. The negative is, because everybody will tell you, and I used to say to kids too, I'm like, you're never going to use it. So why pay attention? Why study? And then it just becomes a burden on you, right? Instead, go find in math, where's the game? Where's the fun? Where's the challenge? How does it look like a video game, right? How does working out all these different numbers and these different ways that have been created, how can you make that interesting? Now, look, not all of them are going to do it. I'm not here to say, like, I go tell them that, and then all of a sudden it all changes for them. But again, it's awareness. They now have a choice to choose from. And it's either going to be the stink think or the power think. And one of them takes you in one direction and the other takes you into another. And if you can see the other side of it and kind of go, oh, you know what? I really don't want to be like in this frustrated, overwhelmed, anxiety ridden place. I want to be in a powerful place where I can choose and have freedom and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and go down this path. Not every kid, but at least they can now choose their path. If that makes sense.
What's your
Did I answer?
experience with yes. What's your experience with meditation? And do you, as far as, are you familiar with meditation?
Oh, Dax, am I familiar with meditation?
Yes.
So how do you feel the importance of teaching kids to meditate?
I personally think it is extremely important.
Okay.
I think if the kids could calm their minds, if they could understand another power, how to focus on one thing instead of just letting their mind just go everywhere, right?
Mhm.
The chaos of all of that, which is what meditation can really teach you, is how to focus. I think it's probably one of the biggest answers there is. Now, unfortunately, it's still, even in this day, in the general population, has that kind of like, out there sort of hippie thing, whatever, right?
Right.
And so it doesn't always resonate and sit with first the parents and then the kids, because there's just no awareness, no experience of it at all. So instead of saying meditate, we do some things where we ask them to calm their minds, and I'll have them do like a huge area, look out, and just huge area, like, right. And then we'll narrow it down to like, a blade of grass. because I teach one live course actually at his school for middle schoolers, and it's outside underneath these like canopy yurt tents on yoga mats. He goes to a pretty progressive school. Imagine that, like who his dad is. But but I'll have them get all the way down to like that blade of grass, and I'll tell them like only the blade of grass, 15 seconds. And when your mind goes away, this is important. Try to bring it back to the blade of grass. But here's the catch. You may go to, my mind just went away from the blade of grass, and start thinking about how your mind went away.
Mhm.
And so this is what often happens to us. And then we just get lost. And 15 can turn into 30. And then we'll change that to, I give them this sheet. I don't think I have one, but I give them this sheet that has like a target on it. And I have them write their biggest goal. And then I tell them, look at that only. Focus on that only. So meditation inside of the word, I potentially could do like in a private quest or a private party if we were kind of promoting it, with that involved in it, which I would love to do, believe me. But in the general public and general population, it could be a little taboo-ish. Even just the name of my company, the way it's spelled, MindZenMotion, Z-E-N in the middle, I've gotten a little bit of, not backlash, but a little bit like, is this, because there's just no knowledge. Is this like Chinese, like this, voodoo stuff? I'm like, no. Zen means to calm.
Yeah.
So this is calm your mind to get into action or motion. Oh, that sounds good. But you got to get past that wall.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, even for kids, I feel like you would have to, do an exercise like that where you try to get them to a one point in mind or some kind of one focus versus closing your eyes and just not, sitting there. That's probably hard for kids. So it has to be something close to it.
To bring out the visualization skills. Yeah.
It's really important because it being hard for kids is the reason to do it. Otherwise they just keep doing the thing they're doing. But you guys sound like you absolutely know, and I know that it's a big answer. It's a big solution for their mind actually stopping the chaos, like being in control. It's another inner superpower. I had heard something today on an audiobook that I was listening to, and it really resonated with me. And I've been not necessarily sharing it with kids today, but I also coach some adults and talking to some other people. And in a Facebook group I posted, and it was really about focusing on the one scene that would signify for you that you accomplished your goal. Just the one scene, and then you put yourself in. You're not a viewer, you're in that scene. So to give you an example that I use, so the book Dax to the Max, because I happened to put it in Nextdoor, which is the app for every neighborhood, a producer picked up on it. And I didn't think much of it, but here we are 2 months later, and I'm signing a shopping agreement with them. I didn't know how to write a script. I didn't know how to write a pilot. I didn't know what a pitch deck was, to be honest. I now have done all of that because I get into action when I see something that's pretty great. And so my moment is clinking glasses with the TV execs and my two partners in that, signifying that we just made the deal. Just that. And I put myself in there. And I visualize that. And so I'm really going to start teaching kids more of that, because if you're just like giving this big thing, I've noticed, like, imagine all the things that you want, it's a little overwhelming. So I want them to get the thing they want and that one scene that they can put themselves into and focus on. So I love that. What do you guys think of that? You like that?
No, I do like that, because I do that personally. Just instead of trying to imagine like the whole picture of the life I want, I just put myself in a random day in my perfect life, or, in the future. So just to, versus trying to be more specific, it's just more general. And I just put myself in, like I'm there, and it just helps get my imagination exercise my imagination.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So you're in San Diego right now.
Sure.
Are you born and raised in San Diego? To go back a
Not,
little bit? Okay. So where are you from
not
originally?
Reno, Nevada, born
Okay.
and raised at just before 19 years old. My dad, who was in mortgage and real estate, decided he was bringing, him and my mom out here, which was really random for my dad. He didn't really seem like, as far as I knew, that kind of person that would just kind of up and go, but away he went. And I decided, in my own waywardness at the time, not really up to much, kind of taking a year off between graduating and going to college and not really sure. I was like, yeah, I'll go with you guys. Why not? I didn't really know anything about San Diego. I'd only been there once when I was a very little kid, maybe 2 or 3. And I came out, my dad and I came out first, and we went to Imperial Beach in a little apartment. Imperial Beach is the closest city to the border. And so we could see Mexico outside the window. As you can imagine, from little town Reno, Nevada, this was just crazy to me. Um, you know, fast forward 30 years, and I'm still here, and I've only been back to Reno once, which was last year. In those
Wow.
30 years, I don't miss it. Great here.
I'm
Better,
originally from
better served.
yeah, I'm originally from Mississippi myself. I love LA. We've gotten into snorkeling, and we saw that you do some surfing as well.
Yeah, love
So
surfing.
if we're visiting in San Diego, what are some of the best snorkeling or best places just to go get in the water?
Yeah, well, they say, so I don't snorkel too much, but they say La Jolla Cove is a really great place to go snorkel here. Obviously it has to do with how clear the water is that day. Any storms that have come through or pushing through, and if there's any like real swell or surf that might be, messing it up a little bit. Good for surfers, bad for snorkelers type thing.
Yeah.
But definitely La Jolla Cove is great, and that's also where we have like the sea lions that live there, and it's one of the most beautiful areas. We went kayaking out there recently for Father's Day, so that's really the only one I know, except for maybe Coronado. Coronado's pretty beautiful. I just don't know about the snorkeling there.
Yeah, I know when I go to the beach and I see surfers, I'm like, this is gonna be a bad day. We want the opposite thing. So
Yeah.
we want the water to be calm. You guys want the water to be rough.
That's
I would say
snorkeling.
next time you come to San Diego to snorkel, just wave and go to Mexico. Because I think you'll get better. Or even going out to Catalina, I think you would find better conditions
yeah.
out there.
Okay. Yeah,
Catalina
we've been out to
was
Catalina
good.
once. Yeah, it
Yeah.
actually was, and we were supposed to
Yeah.
go back, or we're supposed to go back. So yeah, maybe we'll
Right.
check that out.
Maybe Cabo San Lucas or something like
We go to Laguna often. Laguna
Okay.
Beach is one of our favorites to go to and do some snorkeling.
that. Oh,
Yeah, but we've been up here for about 4 years. We love it. We're in
Yeah.
downtown LA. Yeah.
you're in downtown. I was going to ask you. All right. Well, I'm in Carlsbad, which is North County.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm familiar.
Dax loves that we're down the street from Legoland.
From
Oh,
Legoland.
like,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah,
I've completely forgot there was a Legoland.
there's a Legoland. My kid loves Legos, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, before we
But
get ready,
yeah,
before we
go
get ready to close things out, I was just going to ask: is there anything new projects you have that you're working on? Anything you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, thank you. I really just want people to know that we exist and that we're here to really support and empower kids and teens, and I want parents to really know that having like their kids go through a course like mine doesn't mean that they're not doing their job. It doesn't mean that. It's like, look, I mean, you're not probably coaching your kids soccer, baseball, basketball, and their dance instructor and their gymnastics and there's, and this is more important. You could say this gives them the power to have, to be great at those things, to succeed at those things, to get past the difficulties of those things as they grow in their sports or their activities. So parents don't need to feel like, if I do that, it means something about me. No. We work together with you, right? That's why I get those reviews from the dads and the moms. Like, it was stuff that even these parents potentially, because I know them, they're in personal development. The ones in Australia, they were in a group with that I knew. They probably could have. They have the tools. They probably do have the awareness and the knowledge to show their kids, but their kids don't listen to them. You know what I mean? Because their mom and dad are also the ones going pick up your room and make sure you're home curfew or whatever. So that outside third voice of someone that they can first trust, and then someone who's giving them something that they're actually going, man, this is good. Like, I see this. This is helpful for me. Right. So I think that's really important. So I would love people just to know that we have really worldwide English speaking online quests. And what that basically means is we do open forum ones where you can go to our website and just click and see when our next open one is. And we do them in different time zones. So you can pick and you can come join one, and they're always limited to like 10 kids inside so we can give personal attention. We also want people to know that it's a movement. So once they join, they become part of our circle community, which means now what we're doing is we're giving them access to other kids who are doing the same things and also shifting their mindsets to empower each other. I have a big thing about acceptance and approval, which a lot of teenagers, especially on social media, are on a constant hamster wheel of trying to be approved and accepted. And it always comes from the validation. Thank you. It always comes from the outside, right? And so I want them to get supported, which can come from the inside. They're up to something. They have a tribe, and the tribe wants them to succeed. They're not judging you. They're supporting you. They're lifting you up. And so that's what they come to when they come into my programs. And then if they're, not too far off from where I am, San Diego, Orange County, LA, even Arizona, Vegas, that kind of stuff, they can have a power party. And a power party, instead of being over a 6-week period of time where we meet each week, a power party, and they can also have a power quest. A power party is like a one day. It can be 2, 3, 4 hours. You can have lunch involved, DJ music, all the activities that I showed in the power box. It's an event, and you can have a private one for your team, for your group, for your community, for your school group, whatever it might be. So there's open forums, there's private ones. I can come speak either virtually or live, and we can talk about just one subject and speak to the parents, I can speak to the kids, whoever. And then as far as Dax to the Max goes, we do virtual and live interactive readings. So we have an activity book that's coming out with this as well. There's also the sort of draw Fregley. Fregley is the bear. The Fregley is the fear. You guys know the saying, the cave you fear to enter holds the jewels that you seek. Ever heard that before? That's why I use the cave. That's where what he wants exists, but in the way is Fregley. And when he's thinking fear and scared, he energizes the fear. Fregley becomes a little bit meaner and scarier. When he learns through his friend and guide who takes him through this, who's actually his inner voice, that he can use his imagination to change any situation into a fun and exciting and challenging. Might not be easy, but let's go for it. Then the fear becomes more fun, interesting. And so Fregley changes, so the fear changes. And then Dax ultimately earns his inner superpower over here as he heads off, on to his next challenge with this superpower, now with him. So fear didn't win. He's not leaving afraid and running away. He's leaving empowered with this superpower. So there'll be more books. This is book 1, Imagination, but I've been sidetracked now because of this unexpected script. So we'll be pitching. We don't know how long these things take, but Dax to the Max in some version of this, but much wider, more expansive. Hopefully we'll come to like PBS Kids or Nickelodeon or something at some point soon. That's the vision I hold with the clinking glasses, like I told you guys. So, man, if people just want to contact me and just kind of see if this is a good fit, what we do, how we do it, I'm open. I'm very approachable, very easy to talk to. Hopefully I came across that way, and, would love to do that to support kids and empower them.
What are some of the links where people can reach you?
Yeah, so best MindZenMotion.com.
I guess
she was going to say something.
I was going to ask, is there a certain age group you work with?
Yeah. So I have two separate programs. They kind of follow the same 6 keys to your inner superpowers, becoming unmesswithable. It's just context and a little bit different, not really different content, just delivery really for the age groups. So 10 to 12 and then 13 to 16 are the ones that we have. And then for the Dax, so the math stuff, it can be, probably down to 3, 4, 5, 6 for the interactive readings and things like that. However, we're not limited to that. So a group of, 18 to 21-year-olds, a bunch of kids who are heading off to college, whatever, then we can bring, a quest or a power party to them as well. And also to the parents. So I spoke to hundreds of parents of teenage boys and teenage girls to empower the parents, right? Like they're like, oh my God, my kid is doing a teenager, and all their energy and focus is on like all the things that their kid's not doing, and I can shift that for them, right? I can shift them. And so we have the talk with the parents as well if they're opening up for it. So not really limited, but there are some certain ages that we kind of have broken it down into.
And
I
guess I interrupted you. You were saying where they can find you as well.
Yeah, so which is MindZen motion motion.com. All of our stuff is there. You can see testimonies, you can see videos, you can see descriptions, you can see my bio on there, and then you can go on and just click links either to sign up for upcoming Power Quest, to get information, just free call, whatever, consult, just talk about, what you guys are up to, see if it's a good fit, book a live or a virtual reading. So it's all there. And then my social media links are there too. So I think just not to confuse it all, it's MindZenMotion.com is probably just the best way. And then if it's just straight email, it'd be info@MindZenMotion.com.
Okay. And we'll have this in the description for the listeners as well. And for the podcast, you can find us at AmericanGypC.com. And we also have consistent self-improvement at luamlee.com.
And we'd like to say thank you to all of our listeners, all of our supporters, everyone that's donating. We really appreciate all the support. Consistent self-improvement to everyone. Oh, I'm sorry again. Classic. You can find some music, instrumentals, some cello stuff under Classic, KLACCIK. Carpenter, CARPENTA. That's on iTunes, Spotify, Tidal, YouTube, and more. All major platforms. And again, thank you, Scott, for the information you share with us and, the genuine conversation and positive energy.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks you guys so much. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. And oh yes, if you're ever in Los Angeles, if you'd like to come to Los Angeles and have a in-studio recording, definitely let us know.
Ooh, I will.
Yes.
I'm gonna soon.
Definitely feel free to let us know when you'd like to come through.
Okay, thanks. This would be awesome. Love to meet you in person. I'm gonna check out that music for sure. Count on me for a donation too. I think what you guys are doing is amazing. So all good stuff. New friend.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you again to our listeners. Consistent self-improvement to everyone, and peace.